Members, House Bill 3556 is left pending. Chair now lays out House Bill 5202. Representative Goodwin offers up committee substitute, and the chair recognizes Chair Neave-Criado to explain the substitute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, and committee members. I'm really honored to bring before you a bill that has come to us from our Dallas Police Department and our chief and all of the work that they've been doing really on an issue that is of significant importance to all of us, and that's family violence. And I know you have a busy schedule, so I'll get right to it. I do want to thank Chairwoman Angie Button and Chair Morgan Meyer for joint authoring this legislation. Right now in Texas, nearly 1,400 women were murdered by their intimate partners in the last 10 years, according to the Texas Council on Family Violence. That's not including the thousands of women who have suffered domestic abuse at the hands of their partners. In 2021, DPS reported more than 231,207 incidents of family violence. So what I'm bringing before you today is a tool, an online tool, so that individuals can freely search the Department of Safety database. What they have right now is an existing database with criminal records. What this legislation is doing is creating specifically only for assault, for somebody who has been convicted 2 or more times, so not just one incident, but repeat offenders, 2 or more times, violent offenses like assault, aggravated assault, aggravated sexual assault, continuous violence against the family, and stalking. It would allow individuals to search this tool at no cost so that they can determine and I'll give the example of online dating. You're going to hear from witnesses who will speak more on this, but individuals who are either meeting individuals, you want to know if there's somebody who has a history of family violence or committing these crimes. So you will be hearing from our Dallas Police Department Assistant Chief, Reuben Ramirez. You're going to be hearing from our Genesis Women's Shelter, and as well as Mr. Rick and DiAnn Beatty, who have lost their daughter. And they will share their story and how legislation like this, they've been traveling the country trying to get legislation like this passed and have been working hard. I know that Texas is the best state. We're strong on public safety, and a solution like this would make a huge difference on the lives of many women who are essentially having to suffer through family violence. So with that, I want to reserve my right to close and allow the witnesses that we have, and then I'm happy to answer questions or reserve my right.
Questions, members? All right, we'll call you back up in a little bit.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair now calls Rick Beatty. Or Beatty, one of the two. We have you registered as Rick Beatty.
Yes, sir.
Representing the Alessandra Foundation.
Yes,
in
sir.
favor of the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Please continue.
And this is my wife, DiAnn. We come as a package. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Guillen, and members of this committee. I would ask for a little grace. As we present our testimony, we've waited 7.5 years for this. So waiting all day was nothing for us, but we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. Again, my name is Rick Beatty, and this is my wife, DiAnn. We are co-founders of the Alessandra Foundation. It's named to honor our daughter, Alessandra, who was brutally murdered by her ex-dating partner on October 23rd, 2015, in San Jose, California. We came from Las Vegas to testify. We've lived there for 2 years, and we've worked countless hours with many people. And we're honored here to be representing our board of directors to offer our full-throated support to this legislation. Critical to these proceedings and the desperate need for such common-sense legislation is the sad fact that Alessandra's killer, who was convicted and now serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole, He attempted to kill a former dating partner in 2009 in Reno, Nevada, in exactly the same way that he was successful to murder Alessandra. He spent 2.5 years in jail for his attempted murder. Evidently pled down to a battery. The victim thankfully survived the attack. She's part of our foundation. I want to restate that 2.5 years in jail for a brutal attempt to kill an ex-dating partner that broke up with him weeks before. Think about that fact. Alessandra had no idea who this guy really was, nor did we. He's a pathological liar and never told Alessandra about his past. No one in our family or Alessandra's circle of friends particularly liked him. They just wanted Alessandra to be happy, like all parents do and all friends do. We had no way of knowing or finding out about this guy. We didn't discover his past conviction until well after she was murdered. The question we pondered in this day and age of technology is, why can't we develop some type of online search portal to view conviction records of people? Convictions are brought through public proceedings, and the data is paid for with public funding. Why not make conviction data available to the people who paid for it? There's no way to predict if this type of tool would have prevented Alessandra's death, and we're not here to look back. However, our goal is to do everything we can to prevent any other families from going through the horrors of losing a child to a viciously brutal and completely senseless murder. Alessandra had broken up with this guy. She felt free for 2 weeks. She wanted to be a nurse. She was accepted to Samuel Merritt Nursing School in California 3 days before she was killed. She was lured to an apartment in San Jose under the false promise of the murderer paying back all the money he had stolen from her. He viciously killed her, and he left her body in the apartment for 3 days. Dallas Police Chief Eddie Garcia became our greatest advocate in 2016 as chief of the San Jose Police Department. HB 5202 reflects the countless hours of work we did together with Chief Garcia and numerous other people. He carried that with him when he came to Dallas, and we are absolutely honored to call him friend. This proposal provides a much-needed tool for families and friends who desire to do what they can to keep their loved ones safe. On behalf of DiAnn and I, our board of directors, all of Alessandra's friends, I humbly ask you to support this legislation and move it swiftly to action. I thank you all for your service to the people of Texas, and may God bless you and give you wisdom as you serve. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Representative Holland. No? Members, any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chair now calls Jan Langbein. We have you registered as Jan Langbein, representing yourself and Genesis Women's Shelter and support in favor of the bill. Is that correct?
That is correct. Thank you.
Please continue. Did I get Langbein?
You pronounced it correctly.
Okay.
That was great.
That's
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, Chairman Guillen and Vice Chair Johnson and the committee. I thank you for letting me speak today. My name is Jan Langbein, and I'm the CEO of Genesis Women's Shelter and Support in Dallas, Texas, which is a full service provider for women and children who are survivors of intimate partner violence. I am here in support of 5202. With over 3 decades of experience, I can say with confidence that these intimate partner violent crimes are not isolated incidents, but rather a planned spectrum of behaviors intended to exert power and control over one partner or multiple partners. We know that this violence will increase not only in frequency but also in severity, and it doesn't stop if the survivor just leaves. In fact, that is the most dangerous time for her. Being able to identify these perpetrators, most likely those who are most likely to reoffend, with the likely of escalating to homicide, can help law enforcement hold these offenders accountable and assist victims, both current and future victims, to achieve safety, helping potential victims in making very informed decisions. I've worked closely with the authors of this bill to make sure my position that no personal information to identify these victims will be in this process. Domestic violence is the leading cause of injury and homicide of women in the United States. I'm here asking for your support of this bill for this protection. This concludes my testimony, but I welcome any questions that you might have.
Questions, members? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Chair now calls Reuben Ramirez. We have you registered as Reuben Ramirez, representing the Dallas Police Department in favor of the bill. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Please continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Guillen, members of the committee. I'm Assistant Chief Reuben Ramirez. I am here representing Chief Eddie Garcia, the Dallas Police Department, in full support of House Bill 5202. Like Chair Neave recently mentioned, in the year 2022, the Dallas Police Department investigated over 14,000 offenses involving family violence. 70% of these offenses involved intimate partner relationships. These are dating relationships. Of that 70%, the most commonly victimized age category was 18 to 29 years of age. This is also consistent with the most common age category to use online dating. If an individual can browse an online website to find a potential suitor, we believe that they should have access to be able to make better informed decisions regarding who they are in dating relationships with. House Bill 5202 creates that access. While this database will not contain all individuals who have committed family violence, we do believe that it provides valuable information to the public, information that should be publicly available and should not have any impediments by charge. Currently, the system allows for fragmented data. It allows, if someone is interested in searching, they would have to search multiple databases to look from county to county. The information, again, is fragmented and it's provided for a fee. These fees for background checks can often create that barrier to the individual seeking to know information regarding who they are in these dating relationships with. As a Dallas police officer, we have an obligation to notify the public anytime there are threats to the public's safety. Violent offenders with multiple convictions for family violence are indeed such a threat to public safety. The Dallas Police Department firmly believes providing access to a database such as this free of charge could ultimately lead to the reduction in intimate partner violent offenses. And with that, I am available if there are any questions from the committee.
Questions, members? All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Chair now calls Adam Bazaldua. We have you registered as Adam Bazaldua, representing the city of Dallas in favor of the bill. Is that correct?
That is correct, Chairman.
Please continue.
Good evening, Chairman Guillen and committee members. My name is Adam Bazaldua. I'm here as a city council member for District 7 for the city of Dallas and testifying on behalf of the city in support of House Bill 5202. House Bill 5202 creates a website of centralized information regarding individuals who have been convicted of 2 or more felonies for intimate partner violence. Importantly, this website would be free and accessible to the public. Currently, the Protective Order Registry of Texas that contains names of people who have had protective orders filed and issued against them is only accessible to court clerks, attorneys, and other authorized users. In Dallas, there have been over 2,500 IPV crimes documented since January 2023, and among those crimes, 4 people have died as a result. However, we know that domestic violence is a critically underreported crime. It is estimated that 30% to 70% of domestic violence and IPV incidents go unreported. Texans everywhere are suffering intimate partner violence, and some victims do not have sufficient resources to get help that they need. I grew up in a household where I witnessed and survived abuse as a child. I know through my own experience the toll that abuse takes on a child, on families, and on the partners. This is a widespread problem in our state, and people deserve to know if they are interacting with an abuser. To continue to deny the public this information would be an unacceptable disservice to Texas residents. Of course, we cannot stop at the enactment of this bill to address and prevent IPV. Reducing intimate partner violence will require a comprehensive, holistic, and long-term approach, but HB 5202 is a big step forward towards this goal. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions, members? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there anyone else wishing to testify on, for, or against the committee substitute to House Bill 5202? There being none, the chair recognizes Chair Neave-Criado to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, we've spoken with DPS. They have the capacity to do this within the existing database, so we just need the go-ahead and respectfully ask for your favorable consideration. I close.
Questions, members? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Committee substitute to House Bill 5202 is withdrawn, and House Bill 5202 is left pending. Chair, now, so members, we've got 9 or 10 of our colleagues here in the room. We have 2 or 3 that have only 1 or 2 witnesses, and bear with me. I'm going to try to get them out as quickly as possible, and then get to the ones with more witnesses. Chair now lays out House Bill 4875 and recognizes Representative Flores to explain the bill.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman DiAnn and members. And I want to thank you for the hearing on the substitute to House Bill 4875 today. The committee substitute is a bill that brings accountability to our law enforcement agencies. Currently, when somebody is arrested for a crime that causes either serious injury or death, it isn't too difficult to obtain drug test or a blood test in our larger metro areas, and this becomes automatic the more serious the crime. This bill would clarify that if a